Wife laughed. Anyone want to trade husbands? The neighbor raised his hand, and silence fell instantly. I never thought a 4th of July barbecue would be the day my marriage imploded, but here we are. I was manning the grill in our backyard, flipping burgers for about 20 neighbors, when my wife Amanda decided to entertain everyone with what she thought was hilarious commentary. She'd been drinking margaritas since noon, and her voice carried across the yard with that particular pitch she gets when she wants maximum audience attention. You know what would be fun? A husband swap. Like that TV show, except some of us definitely got the short end of the deal. Nervous laughter rippled through the group of wives gathered by the pool. I kept my eyes on the grill, pretending not to hear. This was Amanda's pattern lately, little public digs disguised as jokes, always with a laugh that said kidding but eyes that said absolutely not. Seriously though, Amanda continued, louder now, making sure I heard, anyone want to trade husbands? I'll throw in the grill and lawnmower as a package deal. He's very reliable. Boring but reliable. I set down my spatula and turned to look at her directly. She was smiling that bright, false smile she used when delivering cruelty wrapped in playfulness. The other wives exchanged uncomfortable glances, half amused and half cringing. That's when Colin raised his hand. Colin lived in the brick house across the street, had moved in 8 months ago after his divorce. Quiet guy, kept to himself, always nodded hello when we crossed paths. He was standing near the fence with a beer, and his hand went up confidently, like he'd been waiting for this exact opportunity. I'll trade, Colin said clearly. Right now. I'm completely serious. The entire backyard went silent. Even the music seemed to fade. Amanda's smile faltered, confusion replacing her confident smirk. She'd expected laughter, maybe some playful roasting, not an actual volunteer. What? She managed. I said I'll trade, Colin repeated, walking closer. You're offering your husband, right? I accept. That's a fantastic deal actually. I watched this unfold with strange detachment, like observing someone else's life explode. I should have been embarrassed or angry, but instead I felt oddly calm, like pressure that had been building for years had finally found release. Amanda laughed again, but it sounded hollow. I was joking, obviously. Didn't sound like a joke, Colin said, stopping 5 feet from her. Sounded like you were publicly humiliating your husband at your own party. But if you're serious about the trade, I'm genuinely interested. He seems like a good guy. Steady job, takes care of the house, clearly does all the real work around here. The other guests froze, watching this social car crash with horrified fascination. I could see Tom from 2 houses down trying hard not to smile. I walked over, wiping my hands on my Grill Master apron. Should I start loading my stuff into your truck now, Colin? Or do we need paperwork first? Amanda's head whipped toward me, eyes wide. Excuse me? You're not seriously entertaining this. You're the one who offered, I said calmly. In front of everyone. Colin volunteered. Seems straightforward. It was a joke, Daniel. Can't you take a joke? Jokes are supposed to be funny, Colin interjected. That was just mean. I know mean because my ex-wife did the same thing. Little public digs, then bigger ones, always laughing like it was fun. Until you realize you've been getting kicked in the teeth for years. Amanda's face went red. This is insane. You're all just going to stand there? He's not talking to you like anything, I said quietly. He's calling out something terrible you said. Which is exactly what happened. Colin stepped back, hands raised peacefully. I don't want to ruin your party. But the offer stands. Daniel, if you ever want to take me up on it, you know where I live. He set down his beer and walked toward the gate, leaving through the side entrance. Amanda stared at me with something close to panic, her confidence completely evaporated. Around us, neighbors started making excuses, suddenly remembering other places to be. Within 15 minutes, our backyard was empty except for abandoned drinks and half-eaten food. I turned off the grill and started gathering plates in silence while Amanda stood frozen by the pool, still holding that margarita, looking like someone watching their world crack down the middle with no idea how to fix it. The silent treatment lasted 45 minutes, until I finished loading the dishwasher. I was scrubbing grill grates in the sink when Amanda stormed in from the backyard, slamming her empty glass on the counter. I cannot believe you did that. Did what exactly? I asked without looking up. Humiliated me. In front of everyone. You made me look terrible. I set down the brush and turned to face her. Amanda, you humiliated yourself. I just stopped pretending it wasn't happening. It was a joke. How many times do I have to say it? You were supposed to laugh it off, not play along with Colin's psycho-divorced guy routine. Her voice had that edge that usually made me back down and apologize. Not tonight. If it was a joke, explain the punchline. Explain what part of offering to trade me away like a used car was funny. You're being dramatic. Everyone makes jokes like that. Rachel complains Tom leaves socks on the floor. You announced to 20 people that you got the short end of the stick by marrying me. There's a difference. Amanda's face flushed. You're twisting my words. I was being social, having fun. You turned it into this big thing by encouraging Colin. I encouraged nothing. He volunteered because apparently even a stranger could see you were treating me like garbage. That hit something because her expression shifted to panic. That's not fair. I don't treat you like garbage. When was the last time you said something nice about me? In public or private? She opened her mouth, closed it, clearly running through her mental catalog and coming up empty. I say nice things. Name one from the past month. Silence. She looked away, arms crossed. This is stupid. I'm not proving I appreciate you because you can't handle a joke. You've been unemployed almost 2 years, Amanda. I've paid every bill, covered every expense, never complained. And somehow I'm not good enough? The boring one you'd trade away. Her face went pale. We'd danced around her unemployment carefully for months, both pretending it was temporary. Saying it out loud changed something. I've been looking for work. The market's terrible. You've been sleeping until noon and spending afternoons by the pool or shopping. I see the credit card statements. So this is about money? You're upset because I spend a little while between jobs. No, I'm upset because you spend my money while telling anyone who'll listen that I'm inadequate. You want a bigger house, nicer vacations, a husband who makes more than a graphic designer. But you contribute nothing except criticism. She was crying now, real tears, and I felt that familiar pull to comfort her. But I stayed where I was, hands gripping the sink edge. Daniel, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean those things. I was drunk and stupid. You meant them. You've been meaning them for a while. Today you just said them out loud. My phone buzzed on the counter. Amanda grabbed it first, her face transforming at the screen. It's Colin. He texted you. Offer still stands. You deserve better than how she treats you. Give me my phone. You're actually considering this? He's trying to destroy our marriage. I took the phone from her hand, gently but firmly. Colin isn't destroying anything. You did that yourself. I want you to block him. Right now. No. That single word hung between us, maybe the first time I'd refused her outright in our marriage. Amanda stared at me like I'd slapped her. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not blocking someone for being honest about what everyone saw. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. Maybe discomfort will teach you something kindness couldn't. I picked up my phone and walked toward the hallway, heading for the home office where I'd been sleeping more nights than not. Where are you going? You can't just walk away. Watch me, I said without turning. I heard her start to follow, then stop. Heard her crying in the kitchen, those big dramatic sobs that used to have me running back. This time I closed the office door, locked it, and sat at my desk in the dark. My phone lit up with another text from Colin. Meant what I said. Coffee tomorrow if you want to talk. No pressure. I stared at that message for a long time, listening to Amanda crying, and realized something fundamental had shifted. For years I'd been managing her emotions, making myself smaller so she could feel bigger. Tonight, for the first time, I'd let her sit with consequences of her own actions. It felt terrifying and liberating in equal measure. I woke on the office futon to the smell of bacon and pancakes, suspicious because Amanda hadn't cooked breakfast in over a year. In the kitchen, she stood at the stove in full makeup, wearing the dress I'd always complimented, with the table set like we were hosting royalty. "Good morning," she said brightly, smile not quite reaching her still puffy eyes. "I made your favorite, blueberry pancakes. I thought we could talk." I poured coffee and sat down, watching her plate food with careful precision. "We talked last night." "No, you walked away." "That's not talking." She set pancakes before me. "I've been thinking all night, and you're right. I haven't been appreciating you. I'm going to do better. Start job hunting today, be more supportive, stop making those jokes." The words sounded rehearsed. I cut into a pancake and said nothing. The doorbell rang. Amanda's face went pale. "Who comes over at 9 in the morning?" I already knew somehow. Colin stood on our porch in work clothes, looking apologetic but determined. "Hey Daniel, sorry to bother you early. Cleaning gutters today and realized I don't have a tall enough ladder. Any chance I could borrow yours?" "Sure, it's in the garage. Come in, I'll grab it." "Daniel, no," Amanda said sharply behind me. "He doesn't need to come inside." I held the door wider. "Actually, come have coffee first. Amanda made too much food." Colin stepped inside, and Amanda's carefully constructed morning collapsed. She stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, radiating hostility. "We're in the middle of something private." "Just coffee," Colin said mildly, following me. "Then I'll get out of your hair." I poured him a cup and gestured to the chair beside mine. Amanda remained standing, jaw tight. "So," Colin said after a sip, "I've been thinking about that offer all night. The trade thing. The more I consider it, the more appealing it sounds." Amanda slammed her hand on the counter. "You show up here to continue this insanity? You made a public offer," Colin said calmly. "I'm following up like any interested party would." "It was a joke." "Here's what I don't understand," Colin continued, looking at her directly. "Why would you joke about trading away someone you supposedly love? The kind with a sense of humor, which you clearly lack. I have a great sense of humor. I just don't find cruelty funny. My ex-wife did the same thing, cutting remarks disguised as jokes, always in public where I couldn't respond. Took years to realize that wasn't love, that was contempt." Amanda's face flushed. "I don't have contempt for Daniel." "No? So what do you have? Respect? Appreciation?" Colin leaned back. "Because yesterday it looked like you view him as an inconvenience. You don't know anything about our marriage. I know you haven't worked in 2 years while he supports you completely. I know you spend his money while criticizing his career. And I know yesterday wasn't the first time you've humiliated him publicly, just the first time someone called you out." I sipped my coffee, watching this unfold with strange detachment. Colin was saying everything I'd thought but never voiced. "Get out," Amanda said, voice shaking. "Get out right now." "It's Daniel's house," Colin said. "It's in his name." Amanda turned to me, eyes blazing. "Are you going to let him talk to me like this?" I set down my cup. "He's not saying anything that isn't true." Colin stood up, looked directly at Amanda and asked, "Do you even like him? As a person, not as a provider. Do you actually like your husband?" The question hung in the air. Amanda opened her mouth, closed it. "Of course I do." "That's stupid." "Then tell me 3 things you like about his personality. Not what he does for you, not what he provides. 3 things about who he is as a person." Silence. Complete, damning silence. Amanda stood there, face cycling through emotions, trying to come up with something, anything, and finding nothing. I watched my wife struggle with Colin's question for what felt like an eternity. Her mouth opened and closed, grasping for words that wouldn't come. Finally she said, "This is ridiculous. I'm not playing this game." "It's not a game," Colin said quietly. "It's a simple question. If you love someone, you should be able to name things you like about them. My ex-wife couldn't either when our counselor asked. That's when I knew we were done." "I'm not your ex-wife," Amanda snapped. "No, but you're acting exactly like her. The public humiliation, the financial dependence while criticizing the provider, the inability to articulate genuine affection. Same playbook." Colin turned to me. "Daniel, when was the last time she complimented you?" Not thanked you for paying for something, actually complimented who you are. I thought about it. I honestly can't remember. Amanda's face went red. That's not true. I compliment you constantly. When? Colin asked. Give us one example from the past month. I don't have to prove anything to you. You're a divorced stranger inserting yourself into our marriage because you're lonely and miserable. Maybe I am lonely, Colin said, not rising to the bait. But I'm not miserable. I'm relieved. I'd rather be alone than with someone who treats me like a necessary burden. That's not loneliness, that's freedom. He walked to the sink, rinsed his cup, set it in the dish rack. But instead of leaving, he turned back to Amanda. Here's what I don't get. You've got a husband who works hard, pays all your bills, maintains this house, apparently cooks and cleans. And your response is to mock him publicly and treat him like he's inadequate. But what are you bringing to this marriage that makes you think you can act that way? I don't have to justify myself to you, Amanda said, but her voice had lost its edge, sounded defensive now. You're right, you don't. But you should probably justify it to him. Colin gestured toward me. Because from where I'm standing, he's putting in all the effort and you're just collecting benefits while complaining about the service. Amanda tried to push past Colin toward the door. Get out. I want you out right now. Answer his question first, I said, and both turned to look at me. What do you bring to this marriage, Amanda? I'm genuinely curious. Her eyes went wide with panic. I can't believe you're ganging up on me. This is insane. I'm not ganging up. I'm asking a legitimate question. You spend my money, live in my house, haven't worked in almost 2 years. You mock my career, embarrass me in front of neighbors, and apparently can't name a single thing you like about me as a person. So what's your contribution? I'm your wife. That's my contribution. That's not a contribution, that's a title, Colin interjected. My ex said the same thing. Being married isn't an accomplishment, it's a responsibility. You're supposed to add value to their life. Amanda lunged toward Colin, tried to shove him toward the door. I'm done listening to your bitter divorced wisdom. I stepped between them, hand on Amanda's shoulder. Stop. He's not wrong. She whirled on me. So you're taking his side? A man you barely know over your own wife. He's not on any side. He's pointing out what I've been too scared to say. You don't respect me. You might not even like me. You just like what I provide. Colin moved toward the front door on his own, hands raised peacefully. Look, I didn't come to blow up your marriage. I came for a ladder. But Daniel, man to man, you deserve better than this. My ex put me through hell for 3 years before I got the courage to leave. The public mockery, the financial manipulation, the constant criticism. I know what it looks like because I lived it. He paused at the door. You seem like a genuinely good guy. Don't waste your life trying to earn respect from someone who's decided you're not worth it. That's not love, that's a hostage situation. Amanda was crying now, real tears streaming. Daniel, please. Don't listen to him. He's trying to poison you against me. But I was watching Colin, seeing something in his eyes that looked like recognition, like he was seeing his past self in me. When did you know? I asked him. With your ex. When did you know it was over? Colin thought for a moment. When I realized I felt relieved when she wasn't around. When coming home felt like walking into a battlefield instead of a sanctuary. When I stopped trying to make her happy and started just trying to survive her moods. I nodded slowly, feeling something click into place in my chest. Every word resonated like a bell I'd been hearing in the distance without acknowledging. Daniel, Amanda grabbed my arm. Please don't do this. I'll change. I promise I'll actually change this time. I looked at Amanda's hand on my arm, then up at her tear-streaked face, and felt nothing except tired clarity. Colin nodded once and left quietly, closing the door behind him. The silence in the kitchen was deafening. I want a divorce, I said calmly. And you need to move out within 48 hours. Amanda's face went completely white. What? Daniel, no. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. This house is in my name, bought before we married. You have no legal claim. I want you out by Friday. You can't just kick me out. I have nowhere to go, You have your sister. You have Rachel. You have options. I walked past her toward the bedroom and pulled my old duffel bag from the closet. What are you doing? She followed, voice rising toward hysteria. Packing your things so you don't have to. I started pulling her clothes from dresser drawers methodically, folding them with the same care I'd always done our laundry. The mundane nature made it feel real in a way words hadn't yet. Daniel, stop. Please stop and talk to me. Amanda tried to grab the clothes from my hands. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll get a job this week, I promise. I'll stop complaining. I'll be better. You'll be better until I forgive you, then we'll be right back here in 6 months. I'm done with that cycle. I moved to the closet, pulling dresses off hangers. This is because of Colin. He poisoned your mind. You were fine until he showed up. I wasn't fine. I've been miserable for over a year. Colin just gave me permission to admit it. I carried the first load to the living room, set the duffel on the couch, went back for more. Amanda was sitting on the bed now, sobbing. I love you. Doesn't that mean anything? Do you? Or do you love the lifestyle I provide? I opened her jewelry box, carefully placed necklaces and earrings in a smaller bag. Because love doesn't look like what you've been doing. Love doesn't mock someone publicly. Love doesn't treat someone like an ATM with a pulse. I made a mistake. One stupid mistake at a party. It wasn't one mistake, Amanda. It was the culmination of hundreds of small cruelties I've been excusing because I thought that's what marriage meant. But I've been the only one compromising, the only one being patient. I pulled her suitcases from the top shelf. You need to start packing. I'll give you space, but this needs to happen. She stood up abruptly, anger replacing tears. Fine. Fine. You want me gone? I'll go. But don't come crying when you realize what you lost. You'll never find anyone else. You're boring and predictable and you make $47,000 a year as a graphic designer. You think women are lining up for that. There was the truth she'd been holding back, finally coming out without the camouflage of jokes. Maybe not, I said quietly. But I'd rather be alone than with someone who sees me as a disappointment. I walked to the kitchen, started washing the breakfast dishes she'd made in her failed reconciliation attempt. I heard her in the bedroom, slamming drawers and throwing things, the sounds of someone who'd lost control. My phone buzzed. Colin, you okay? I'm sorry if I overstepped. I typed back. You didn't. Thank you for saying what needed to be said. 3 dots appeared. Beer later if you need to talk. No pressure. Amanda emerged an hour later with 2 suitcases, face blotchy from crying. I'm going to my sister's. But I'm not signing any divorce papers. You'll have to drag me through court. That's fine. My lawyer will contact you next week. You already have a lawyer? Her voice cracked with disbelief. I called one this morning while you were packing. Consultations Monday. I'd actually called during one of her trips back to the bedroom. This is insane. You're throwing away 3 years over one bad day. I'm ending 3 years of being treated like I'm not good enough. There's a difference. She stood at the door, suitcases in hand, looking at me like she was waiting for me to crack. When I didn't, she tried one more approach. What about the good times? Our beach trip? The concerts? Those were good. But they don't erase the rest. And honestly, you spent most of those times on your phone or complaining. I can't remember the last time you were actually present. She opened her mouth, closed it. I hope you're happy with your new best friend Colin. Maybe you two can be miserable together. I'm not miserable. That's what you don't understand. I feel lighter than I have in months. She left then, dragging suitcases to her car, throwing them in the trunk with unnecessary force. She sat in the driver's seat for a long time, probably waiting to see if I'd run out and stop her. I didn't. I just stood at the window watching until she finally started the engine and drove away. The first week after Amanda left was strange. The house felt bigger, quieter, but not lonely. More like the absence of constant tension had created space to breathe. I filed for divorce Monday through an attorney who assured me that with no kids, no shared property, and Amanda's extended unemployment, the process would be straightforward. Amanda tried calling 47 times in 3 days. I let every call go to voicemail, listened to her cycle through grief stages in real time. Anger, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. Bargaining, I got a job interview at that bookstore downtown, doesn't that prove I'm trying? Depression, I can't sleep, I can't eat, you've destroyed me. I deleted most without responding. Day 4, she showed up unannounced. I watched through the window as she walked to the porch carrying a wrapped gift and envelope, wearing a dress I'd never seen. I didn't answer. She knocked for 10 minutes, then left everything on the doorstep. Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter about how she'd messed up, how lucky she'd been, how she got the bookstore job. The gift was a relationship communication book. I put both in the garage with her other things and didn't call back. Colin came by Saturday with beer and burgers. Figured you might not be cooking much this week. We sat in the backyard where the pool party had imploded, talked about everything except Amanda. He told me about his divorce, how his ex spent 3 years criticizing his teaching job, calling him unambitious. The worst part wasn't the criticism, Colin said. It was realizing she'd never actually liked me. She liked being married, having someone to split bills with. But me as a person? She couldn't stand me. How long did it take you to realize? Too long. 6 months before I filed, I asked her to tell me one thing she liked about my personality. She said I was responsible. Not kind, not funny, not interesting. Responsible. Like a well-trained dog. I laughed hollowly. Amanda couldn't even come up with responsible. Over the next weeks, Colin and I hung out regularly. He taught me woodworking in his garage, and I discovered I loved it. Amanda had always called my graphic design just pushing pixels, but Colin asked intelligent questions about my work. This is really good, he said, scrolling through my portfolio. Why are you charging so little? Amanda always said the market was saturated, that I should be grateful for any clients. Colin looked at me like I'd said something insane. The market is saturated with bad designers. You're undervaluing yourself. He helped me revamp my pricing. Within 2 weeks, I'd landed 3 new clients at nearly double my old rates. Meanwhile, the neighborhood split into factions. Rachel confronted me at the mailbox. You know Amanda's devastated, right? She cries every day. All over one stupid joke. It wasn't one joke, Rachel. It was years of disrespect. Marriage is about forgiveness. Marriage is also about respect. She never had any for me. Rachel huffed away, but Tom gave me a thumbs up from his driveway when she wasn't looking. Other husbands started asking quiet questions about how I'd found the courage to leave. Amanda's social media became passive-aggressive posts about toxic masculinity and men who abandon responsibilities. Photos from the bookstore with captions about thriving after betrayal. I blocked her after the 5th post clearly directed at me. 6 weeks after the pool party, Colin and I were in his garage working on a custom bookshelf he'd commissioned me to design. He wanted something specific for his living room, willing to pay me actual money for the plans, then build it together. I was sketching modifications when Amanda's car crawled past the open garage door for the 3rd time in 20 minutes. She's circling again, Colin said without looking up from the wood he was measuring. Should I close the door? No. Let her see we're living our lives. On the 4th pass, Amanda's car stopped abruptly in Colin's driveway. She got out looking disheveled, hair unwashed, wearing sweatpants I'd never seen her wear in public. The woman who wouldn't check the mail without full makeup now looked like she'd been crying for days. Daniel, we need to talk, she said, voice shaking as she approached. I've been in therapy. Real therapy, 3 times a week. I'm learning about my behavior, about how I treated you. I can change. I am changing. I set down my pencil and looked at her, really looked at her. The desperation in her eyes was real, but so was something else that looked more like fear of being alone than actual remorse. Amanda, we've had this conversation. Not like this. I understand now. My therapist says I have abandonment issues from childhood, that I push people away before they can leave me. I was sabotaging us because I was scared of how much I needed you. Colin cleared his throat. Can I ask you something, Amanda? She looked at him with unconcealed hostility. What? Name 3 things you genuinely admire about Daniel. Not related to money, not about what he provided. 3 specific things about his personality, his character, who he is as a human being. The same question from the kitchen 6 weeks ago. Amanda's face cycled through emotions and I watched her struggle, could see her mentally grasping for answers her therapist might have helped her prepare. He's patient. He's creative with his design work. And She trailed off, the third trait evaporating before she could invent it. You still can't do it, I said quietly, not angry, just sad. 6 weeks of therapy and you still can't name 3 things you actually like about me. That's not fair. You're putting me on the spot. I could name 20 things I admired about you when we first got together, I said. Your determination, your work ethic back when you had it, how you defend your opinions even when everyone disagreed. I could go on. But you've never been able to do the same because you never actually saw me as a person worth knowing. Tears streamed down her face. I do see you. I see you now. Isn't that enough? Can't people grow? Maybe, Colin interjected gently. But growth has to be genuine, not just fear of consequences. When my ex-wife saw me moving out, she suddenly wanted therapy, suddenly saw all my good qualities. But it wasn't real. It was panic at losing her comfortable situation. Amanda turned on him. You don't know anything about me. You ruined my marriage with your bitter divorced guy propaganda. Your marriage was ruined long before I said a word, Colin replied calmly. I just pointed out what everyone could already see. Daniel deserves someone who actually likes him, not someone who tolerates him for what he provides. I do like him. Amanda's voice rose to a near shriek. Then prove it, I said. Answer Colin's question. 3 genuine things you admire about my personality. Silence stretched between us. A full minute passed while Amanda stood there, mouth opening and closing, her face growing redder with frustration and shame. Finally she whispered, I can't think with you both staring at me like this. It's not fair. It's completely fair, Colin said. If you loved someone for 3 years, their good qualities should be on the tip of your tongue, not something you need time to manufacture. Amanda looked at me with desperation. Daniel, please. Don't let him do this. Don't let him turn you against me. He didn't turn me against you. You did that yourself every time you made me feel small. Every joke at my expense, every time you compared me to other men, every eye roll when I talked about my work. Colin just helped me see what I'd been ignoring. She collapsed against her car, sobbing in a way that looked genuinely broken. Part of me, the part that had spent 3 years trying to make her happy, wanted to comfort her. But I stayed where I was, standing next to Colin in his garage, and realized something profound. I'd found something more valuable than a romantic relationship that slowly poisoned me. I'd found genuine friendship with someone who saw my worth without me having to prove it constantly, someone who respected me as a default rather than a reward I had to earn. Colin hadn't offered to trade at the pool party because he wanted to date me or because he was trying to steal someone's husband. He'd volunteered because he recognized a fellow man being publicly diminished and decided someone needed to say enough. His offer wasn't romantic interest, it was solidarity. And what grew from that moment wasn't a relationship, it was brotherhood. Amanda, I said gently, you should go. This isn't healthy for either of us. So that's it? You're choosing him over me? I'm choosing myself. Colin's just the friend who helped me remember I was worth choosing. She stared at both of us for a long moment, and I could see the exact second she realized this wasn't a fight she could win, that no amount of tears or therapy appointments or desperate gestures would change what had fundamentally broken between us. She got in her car without another word and drove away, this time not slowly, not circling back. Just away. Colin and I watched her taillights disappear, then returned to the bookshelf. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said and meant it. I really am. We worked in comfortable silence for a while, measuring and cutting, the rhythm of building something solid and real. The neighborhood curtains were probably twitching, people already crafting narratives about the 2 divorced and divorcing men in the garage, but I found I didn't care anymore what story they told themselves. I knew the truth. Sometimes the best relationships aren't romantic. Sometimes they're 2 people who've been through similar pain, who recognize each other's worth, and who choose to build something better together. The bookshelf came together beautifully over the next few hours, each piece fitting exactly where it should, and I felt truly free for the first time in years.